Hey everybody, what's going down? It's your girl Jay Renee. You know, I got something to say, and oh my gosh, it's the Talk With Me podcast. You know, I had to outsource somebody that was from the land of hip hop. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know about the hip hop history, then you gonna know today. I want y'all to give it up for OG Cliff McBean, straight out of Houston, Texas. Matter of fact, well, actually, he out of New York, but he teaches here at Texas Southern University.
Texas Southern University.
And if you make him mad enough, he gonna bring that New York out. You know what I'm saying? He gonna bring that out.
Yo, it came out yesterday, so I get it. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. It's always an honor to rock with people who are on the way up. You know what I mean? It's always an honor. So thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, yo, don't do that, fam. Like, don't do that.
Hey, man, listen, you better recognize, give flowers when you get a chance. I look up next time when you're on TV, I may need a job.
Hey, matter of fact, why don't you tell people the things you have done in your career?
All right. So first off, I don't really like doing it. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm going to, but it comes off sometimes like, he think, you know what I mean? But I started at Texas Southern University. I was with a group. I'm always gonna, TSU is always gonna be my start, right? Because I'm a type of it, you know. I was a part of an organization or a group called Why Not Us, Why Not Now Productions. It was with comedian Marcus Wiley. It was Keelan Farouk, who owns Mr. Indian Hair, and his family owns a whole entrepreneurial family. As a matter of fact, I think his son, King Farouk, plays for TSU basketball team right now. Chris Holt, Chris Mayberry, John Jones, and Dr. Teeth. And so we had all got together and formed this group, and we did a couple student films and a few projects around campus. So that kind of prepped us. My next move was BET. Well, I worked for a few magazines around town right after graduation. I think everybody takes a job, you know, to make sure they can pay some bills and maintain their independence and not have to go back to the twin bed in their parents' house.
Right.
That was my motivation. No twin beds. Plus, I developed habits that I couldn't take home. You can't stay out till 3 a.m. drinking and smoking. You can't do none of that. You got to be an adult. If you want to be an adult, you can't do that at the crib. So hold on, let me adjust this. There we go, a little harsh. There we go. Let me see if I can fix this a little bit. You know, I do production, so I'm trying to find that happy medium. Nah, it's a little better. Anyway, after that, I went to, so I wrote and produced a show called Cita's World on BET. I did a few little freelance episodic things with Dr. Teeth and Rap City, not enough to really mention it in my resume, but I was really proud of the shows that I did do because when they were like my first time seeing my name on television. So those was huge. Then I went to a show called The Source All Access at a network called the Heritage Network by Frank Mercado, and that was he's somebody that people should profile because he's a guy that took the same route as I can see his face. I'm so terrible with names, but it'll come to me. What he did was he purchased time on local networks and broadcasted his own content. And the more and more he broadcasted, he sold the advertising, thereby raising more revenue, and he basically syndicated his own shows around the country. So fast forward, he had established himself, got a deal with The Source magazine because he was based out of New York, did a television show called The Source All Access, which then changed its name to Weekend Vibe. I wrote and produced for that show. Then I left that show. Some of the producers, we all branched out around the country. I wrote and produced shows for HDNet at the time, which became Access TV. It was the first high definition television network. So I was doing content for them. I did shows for ABC, NBC. I did an episode of Dr. G Medical Examiner for I think Discover or one of those, Nat Geo's, one of those. MTV VH1, and a few music videos. So I've been around the block, you know what I mean? But, you know, TSU is always my start, and I'm just really proud at this time that I'm back at Texas Southern, being able to give back as an adjunct professor.
Hey, man, look. Now you're telling me this, we're gonna jump into it. So you definitely seen the highs and lows of hip hop as a genre because you are, excuse me, you are from
Absolutely,
where hip hop
absolutely.
started. Well, technically, you know, in my opinion, it started on Stratford upon Avon with William Shakespeare, but they're not ready for all that.
Okay, okay. They not.
They're not like
They
okay.
not. They not.
I know everybody look up 12th Night and he uses the word swag.
Hmm.
Blew my mind. It
That's what's up.
blew my mind. But having going back to New York, let's go back to that type of era because that was truly something that no one had heard. Like the way that you all put the jazz mixed with funk, and then you all added that bass to it that essentially what became hip hop. Uh, what was that like growing up in New York? Did you hear that?
Okay,
Like
so
everybody had, was it true every borough had their own sound?
at the time, right, we didn't know if okay. On November 28th this year, I turned 50 years old, right? If you look up how old hip hop is, I think I'm maybe 6 years older than hip hop, 7 years older than hip hop. So I said this to say, my dad had some of the first pressed hip hop albums. He had Curtis Blow's album. He had, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. He had all of the pioneer albums. He hated them, but they were new music that his DJ friends were talking about. And so he bought them. I didn't hear him play often, right? But I knew he had them. And when he wasn't around, I tried to play them. Um, I think one thing that gets really lost in the history of hip hop is the contribution that the Caribbean community and Caribbean culture made to hip hop. Like those rhythms, those energies, the patois, the chants, a lot of that is all African based and hip and Caribbean based. And so growing up to two Caribbean parents, and living in predominantly Caribbean neighborhoods, once the teenagers got a hold of hip hop and we were sitting on the porch, when they make a comment about being able to jump off the porch, right? I know guys do. We talk
Right.
to each other about, hey man, when you get off the porch, meaning, we had to stand by and be bystanders, while the rest of the world went on because our parents was like, no, you ain't old enough to go out there yet. You're not ready for that. But we did hear, hip hop. We did see the block parties switching more from, funk and classics and all of the Ohio Players and the Gap Band and all of these really heavy funk influence, James Brown, like those break beats, all of those things existed. But then it got this twist and this stripped down and made it really concise. And it was kind of like ours as kids. So being that we didn't know what it was going to be, but having an opportunity to be born during its inception to where it is now, it's incredible, and it's where we are in hip hop right now. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to digest, but you got to really appreciate the fact that it's the number one art form on the planet right now, and it's not going nowhere.
Growing up, who were you most into with as far as lyricism and as far as their delivery? Like, was it
All right,
Rakim?
so
Because I ain't gonna lie, like I heard Rakim and Eric B, and then you say Curtis Blow and I
well,
mean,
none of those guys. So my parents moved us to Austin, right? So around middle school, headed to Austin, high school, late elementary, middle, when we really started selecting our own music and having radio outlets that played only hip hop, right? So at the time, in the beginning, it was a lot of guys like Marley Marl, and it really wasn't about lyricists. It was about beats, rhymes, and DJs, right? So it wasn't necessarily until after LL Cool J was the huge paradigm shift for me, right? Because hip hop went through all these stages, and at one time it was all groups. So Run DMC was hot, and Whistle was hot with Buggin, and UTFO with Roxanne. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? These are classics, you know what I mean? Houdini, um, Treacherous Three. Like it was just so many groups, but they had all of the elements of hip hop. And so at that time, hip hop was really counterculture, right? White folks hadn't gotten turned on to it and fell in love with it yet, right? Our parents wasn't effing with it at all.
Right.
So it was necessary at all. My parents still hate hip hop. But it was more about the culture of hip hop and us having our own thing. And that's what I see now. So when I really started paying attention to lyrics and really getting into lyrics was around the time of LL Cool J, right? Kool Moe Dee was a brilliant lyricist. The message was brilliant, but it was still party music was still driving that, right? So when we did start paying attention to people who were raising consciousness, that was around, for me, that was 9th grade. Like when I was old enough to really pay attention to what they're saying. And then I was far enough away from home to see different cultures of people in my own city. So then it was like poor righteous teachers. It was KRS-One is like quietly, it's criminal how they leave him off all the top MC lists. Rakim, because he was just so cool, and he had this fly ass image. He was just so cool, and everybody wanted to rap like him. But then when you saw how he presented himself with the Dapper Dan suits and the cable chains and the troop sneakers, he was the guy.
That car was impeccable over there.
So at that, like, he was our first in the culture. To me, he was a star. Like that's the guy. Everybody universally recognized. Oh yeah, that's the guy. When he dropped records, he was the guy. Even though other people came out and sounded like him, but he was far and away. It wasn't even close, because the other guys were like, oh, who am I? Real, that type of old school. And even for us, it's like, man, don't nobody want to hear that shit. We want to hear
the young go about two.
Yeah.
So,
but they hadn't figured it out yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's your favorite rapper?
Big Sean.
Okay, go listen to early Big Sean, right? Go listen to mixtape Big Sean. Go listen to pre-Kanye Big Sean, right? And listen to Big Sean now. Big Sean had to grow on me, right? But he grew on me when he found his sound. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of our favorite rappers we just love them to death. Something resonates with them, and we'll catch on to them early, right? And then for others, for me, it's when guys figure out who they are and are comfortable with who they are and what they want to talk about and can do it. That's when I start really paying attention to, okay, let me listen to this, because I can have this, I can visualize what you're talking about. You're saying something that resonates with me. So at that time, that party stuff that they were doing, that was guys rapping over break beats. And it wasn't really rapping, it was just filling in the gaps on the break beats. Da, 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 da. Throw your hands in the air and wave them like just nobody. You think somebody wrote that down? Nobody wrote that down. They just start, you know what I mean? But if you at a party, right? If you're at a block party, right? And you got the horns blaring, doo-doo, 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 and everything's going, you got a DJ that's scratching and going back to back, and then this MC who was the accessory at the time, the MC wasn't the feature, it was the DJ, right? And he said, throw your hands in the air. If you got $100 in your pocket, throw it up and wave it like you don't care. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever he said, I'm gonna do that. And that was the record. So nobody was really listening to that. I mean, that was party stuff. So when Rakim came in the door and said it before, he never let the mic magnetize him no more, it was like, wait, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, and
Right.
he wasn't the first guy to do it, but he was the first guy to do it and really make everybody recognize this is the guy. So
He'll like take time with his craft and had everybody make, or he made people listen.
you know what he said? He said that he was such a fan of jazz music and Coltrane that he raps the way the instrumentation plays in jazz music. That's why he's got that swing to his cadence and his style. Like his cadence was written like a jazz musician playing, if it's Miles Davis playing his horn, or saxophonist, famous saxophonist, that's what he did. And so he was a huge Coltrane fan. He was like, yeah. And when I heard it and listened to him rap, I said, oh, that makes perfect sense. That's why he's always got this like it's like an upbeat kind of he fits like in like a jazz pocket.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's not technical, because like if you juxtapose him to Eminem is like this, real technical. Like he figures out what you can fit and what syllables you can fit and bend into the next line, and he's super technical. Whereas Rakim is just it's cool because it's the coolest. Jazz was the coolest art form. Oh, wow. And Rakim was the rap version, a rap jazz artist.
Like this is the
he don't claim.
This is the first I'm ever hearing this. Like, now it all makes sense.
It makes sense, don't it? It makes sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. When I heard it, I felt the same way. I was like, I sat there and did the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, oh shit.
Now I want to go back and listen to everything. Oh my goodness.
Like Mahogany. If you listen to Mahogany, that's a jazz breakbeat.
He's matching.
That's a jazz breakbeat.
Oh my God. He a genius. That's a genius. Oh,
he is. And and the way he did it was so cool and so charismatic. He never ran out of breath. There were a couple joints that, I forgot Big Daddy Kane. How did I forget him? I'm sorry, Big Daddy Kane. You the guy. I'm not going to call him Big Daddy, but Big Daddy Kane.
Like, I'm sorry.
Come on, man, Big Daddy. Come on, man. You get the whole name. So yeah, those are our guys.
Now we had a little argument. Well, I would say it was an intelligent discussion.
It was discussion. It was a discourse.
Discussion. I mean, I feel like I was winning it, but
Is that what you thought?
Yeah, I was definitely winning it.
I mean, on my end of the phone, it didn't seem that way to me, but it's all perspective. Can we agree to that? That it's perspective.
Like you had a photo, and that's what I was looking for. For some reason, I can't find the photo, maybe because I have too much stuff in my phone. But it was, I believe it was Big Pun, Eminem, KRS-One, Cassidy. Who else was on there?
Oh, that's right. Hold on.
Yeah, that's one.
And you said we got to get rid of one. So it was pick 3 MCs, right?
Right.
And it had Big L, Prodigy, Big Pun, Sean Price, Sean P, ODB, Cool G Rap, Redman, Rakim, R-Ray the Rugged Man, Master Ace, Method Man, and J. Rue the Damager to murder a classic beat. Right?
Was that the one? We've had a lot of discussion. I was talking about this one. Who is you?
Oh, hold on. Let me see the other one.
It says you need one artist to help you win $1 million rap battle. Who you pick?
Oh yeah.
Had Eminem, Big Pun, Kendrick Lamar, Jadakiss back when he was just going for Kiss, Big L, Cassidy before the car accident, Mos Def before he's just good to his
before the car accident. You're right. Before the car accident. Yep. That's a good observation.
Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One.
I said KRS-One. I said KRS-One.
In a rap battle. You saw verses, right? You saw the verses, right? That he did?
Verses wasn't a battle. Verses was the battle of classics.
But he did a freestyle at the end though.
But yeah, this is 2021. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Your response was Jadakiss, and my response was KRS. Now, who had the better versus performance? Jadakiss did.
Correct.
No question. So that's why I asked you the question. I'm glad I went back and read it and said, are you being a prisoner of the moment? Because Jada had a impeccable versus performance. But the question is in a battle to save your life, and all of those other guys on that list will say, for a bunch of different reasons, okay, I would say that the best impromptu, probably off the dome freestyler would probably be Eminem, right? Cassidy kind of ushered in that gangster style of freestyling, and then he kind of lambasted Freeway when he embarrassed him in the studio that time, got Freeway talking about, put a beat on. Remember that? Okay. But the guy who, as far as an MC, if we went back to circling up in the park or on the corner, the MC of MCs is Blastmaster. And he's basic enough, yet witty enough, yet he can fill in the gaps between punchlines. And this is just, you know, and then if he gets to write, he writes very aggressively without being, it's not gun bars. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of people with the gun bars. I'm over that. So, you know,
No.
I would have to, KRS is my vote. I'm biased. I told you, I'm biased. I'm not ashamed of it.
I ain't trying to say you wrong, and I'm definitely not gonna say you right. But come on,
You don't have to say it. You know. Come on,
Come on, you already know Jadakiss, aka Kiss, was a problem back then. He went just
was.
KRS was. I told you KRS was a very methodical rapper. At the end of the verses, did nobody tell him to freestyle? He decided, like, that was epic. I thought he heard our conversation because he showed him freestyle.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, see, KRS-One got to be pushing 60.
What'd you say?
You got to be pushing 60. KRS has to be pushing 60.
So that means he definitely cannot keep up.
62 years old? Huh?
So that means he definitely cannot keep up with Jadakiss.
No, but
Cassidy.
Cassidy doesn't have the longevity for that conversation. I don't think. In all fairness, I don't think he's got the longevity for this conversation. He had a window. Cassidy had a window of about 3 to 5 years when he was the best MC out. When he was Come to My Hotel and all that stuff with R. Kelly, Cass was a problem. But it, you know, too much other shit going on. He was too much.
I definitely understand it, and I definitely agree with you on that, because I don't think the industry was ready for him, and I don't think it was ready for the comeback from the industry. Like
that was it. That was it. They wasn't ready for it at the height of his stardom with Swiss and R. Kelly and all that stuff. Car accident, shootout in the back of the building, all this other stuff that was going on. And then, you know, that's when they started disposing of rappers. That's when they would crack rap, they call it, remember? Somebody would come out, do a record, then they gone. They come out, do a record, hit it big, then they gone. That was it. When he came back, nobody was like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, we heard you before.
And then I think he took that so negatively that it pushed him even more.
Yes.
I'm not going to, it is what it pushed him to the ground. And so now for all of these freestyles, like I watch him all the time on YouTube, like he'll go against freestyles. And I do have to give him that. Freestyle Cassidy is dope. But Cassidy before all that was the shit. You see what I mean?
He was. But it didn't last. And then, so here's what happens. To me, rappers will wrap themselves into a persona and into a corner. And then something happens that exposes that they're not who they say they are, right? Now, Cass had an instance with Gilly the Kid, where Gilly the Kid ran up on Cassidy, right? Cass was getting all the Philly shine, right? Then Jay-Z and Rockefeller took a little bit of that shine, right? A lot of that shine, right? And then Gilly the Kid had this underground buzz going on, and he was writing for all these guys. And then his street reputation, Gilly's street reputation, was intact. So what happened is, as the internet blew up and people are able to see their favorite person every day if they want to, good or bad, that shit hurt a lot of people. A lot of people who sold us a bill, sold us a persona, right, weren't able to keep up with that persona. You see what I'm saying? And then the people that we started really appreciating are the ones that, like, if they said Beanie Siegel before he got his line taken out and before he fell out with Jay-Z, you gotta say yes. Yeah. Because he was who he said he was. And nobody refutes that.
Because the internet allowed everybody to fact check people right then and there.
Yes.
Like, you could be like, oh, I went to the store Tuesday. No, you didn't.
Yes.
Whereas back in the day, like, even now, it don't matter. Because everybody,
I don't know that
prior to the internet and prior to back when everybody used to freestyle on the corners of the bodegas, you know what I'm saying? It was like you had to be there type moments.
And nobody had a camera. If you saw it, if you were lucky enough for somebody to have a camera and see it, you know, oh yeah, you got it.
Because it was
but
about
now everybody.
And now
everybody got the camera in their pocket. Everybody has a camera in their pocket. I start my classes by saying, listen, you shoot this stuff, and hey, everybody pull out your high definition camera, your phone. We all got one, so you don't miss anything. I have one video on YouTube, right? Zero and I are friends, right? We worked together on a video project and been friends ever since for years and years. So I've got video stuff on road that it's never been out, never been seen. It's on a drive. It's just, you know, several personal interviews that we've done after big things that people know about happen. I have the backstory, like, in that moment. But I also hang out with the dude. Like, he'll call me, yo, it's my birthday. Come have drinks. All right, cool. So I have one video that's got like 1.4 or 5 million views. It's him freestyling in the studio. And I just happened to be there and pulled out like my iPhone 6 or whatever it was at the time and caught the freestyle. So like you said, it was one of those moments that, you know, 10 years prior, nobody else would have known about it but me. And Bass Heavy, the producer who was playing the beats. But because I was there, I had my phone in my pocket, and he kind of he kind of warmed up a little bit to a couple of songs, a couple of tracks, little things, bars here, a couple bars there. And then Bass Heavy played this one song. He said, "Oh, that's the one right there." And he let it run through a little bit. He said, "Run that back, Mac." I was like, I'm already on it, bro. You ain't got to tell me. I saw the change. I saw him go, ooh. And he started freestyling. I was like, I went home and woke my wife up like, you got to see this. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you've got to see this. Like, I got one. You know what I'm saying? And lo and behold, the video went viral. I should have tagged my logo all over it, but it's about the art for me. It's about the art and whatever. I haven't gotten a dime from it. Ain't charged up YouTube for it. I'm not even tripping. But it was just, he mentioned me in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, in his freestyle, he mentioned me in the freestyle. And this shit's got like, it's shared all over the place. It's got millions of views. But that goes to what you were saying about you had to be there. Right. And once everybody was able to be there and we was able to be there.
Like, okay, I remember my favorite video to this day. One of them was Biggie freestyling against Preem.
Oh man, come on.
Because it's been so many years, people tell that story. They tell that story. And it was literally that moment. Like, I want whoever shot it, hey, I want to get him like a hug, because that moment for everybody, and you saw people was coming up the light poles, the signs. They was just, everybody that was living on top of the bodega, they was leaving outside they apartments and stuff. It was one of those, like, those moments, like how grandparents tell that story over and over. You just like, damn, I wish I was there.
Yeah. But yeah. And the adversary gets taller every time and stronger every time. But we got to see it.
And you crave that story more and more. And even in another one, I forgot what I was watching, but it was that freestyle with Big L, and I think it was Jay-Z or
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, yeah.
Jay-Z.
And to see that, even though I ain't gonna front, it was because of the quality.
Oh, Jay-Z. Hey,
It's just like,
Jay-Z, Big L killed him.
but to hear that,
Big L killed him. And was Jay-Z. But Big L was like that hot guy at the time.
right?
You know?
He was already like a legend. I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah. Digging in the crates and
yeah.
yes. So
If he was still alive, I think he would be bigger than Jay-Z. That's fine.
I get it. And you know, based on what he had done in his music, he does not have Jay-Z's charisma. Jay-Z is Big Daddy Kane 2.0 without the looks. You know what I'm saying? Like that charismatic. I can make it sound effortless. I can, you know what I'm saying? Like the way I present it is so cool and it's so precise and it's so effortless.
Right there.
Right. So Big L would have most definitely been one of those greats, but it's just something about like hip hop is like music, like a vocalist, right? And it's a lot of things that I don't know that we admitted about ourselves, but there's a lot of people we don't like because their voice doesn't resonate with us, right? Jay-Z's one of those people like Rick Ross we like because his voice resonates, right? The way he sounds when he raps, it sounds great. You know what I mean? But he ain't really saying nothing to me. He ain't really saying a whole lot. It's pretty repetitive, but the way he says it is just insane. So I don't know that Big L had that, but Jay-Z did. You know what I mean? Bar for bar, if you read them, it's hard to pick one over the other. But when you hear it and hear the way they present it, you know what I mean? Like
bars. He do got bars.
He got bars. You can't say. Listen, Sauce Money was one of the best rap. He was one of the best writers of his era. But Sauce Money sounds so terrible rap. He got bars, but he sounds so awful. You can't listen to it. It's like Brand Nubian, Sadat X. And you know how I met my wife? By taking Sadat X's album back to the record store. That's how I met my wife. I'm dead ass.
Oh, wow.
I bought the record. I went to Sound Waves that used to be on Main Street. And you remember how they used to have the carousels where they would play, like they'd have the 5 and 6 disc CD players?
Oh, shit. Yeah. Bro,
right?
Really how you met your wife?
That's how I met my wife.
I was just like,
I told Sadat X. He didn't like it, but I told him. I said, I got to be honest with you. You're the reason I met my wife, and I wish I wish I didn't have to tell you this, but this is why. So anyway, I was in college at the time. I was working at the Sheraton, which is now I think it's the Hilton on the corner of 610 and Kirby right there, the big hotel right across from NRG. I worked at that hotel. I was a bellman. And so when we was working, I would sneak off and go buy CDs, and and I was an interning at KTSU. So all the hip hop, it was when it was jazz, except for Kids Jam. So I was in there 2-3 days a week. So I got to go through everything, and I got a lot of people's first records, like a lot of first records, because I was sorting the music. So anyway, I went to the record store because I've really been into music for my whole life. I walked into the record store. I was in a rush, right? And I think I bought Sadat X. The name of the album was Wild Cowboys. I know that for a fact. And I bought another record. But I only bought Sadat X because the guy behind the counter said, "Oh man, you gotta listen. You heard of Brand Nubian." I'm looking at him like, "Yeah, I heard of Brand Nubian." Right? He said, "Sadat X put an album out." Now, Pooh Bah's album was hot. Lauren Jamar never put out an album that I got. And then the Sadat X album came out, Wild Cowboys. And he's got this real nasal voice that I just can't stand. So anyway, I took the record home and I tried to listen to it. And I was like, this is fucking trash. and it's not trash, but I just couldn't. It didn't resonate with me, right? So the next day, I go back to Soundwaves, and I'm like, "Yo, my man, you told me this shit was banging. Like, man, come on, man, I gotta return this, bro. Come on, man, I can't do it." He's like, "Oh, you didn't like it?" I was like, "Nah, I hated it." So I go back to the carousel, right? And I'm trying to see what I'm gonna, because he wasn't gonna give me my money back. So I was just saying, just give me something else. As a matter of fact, you can give me something that you've opened. Just let me pick out something else. So I'm back there standing with the headphones that look like, where they at? Where they at? Damn it, where are my headphones? The big ass cans. Oh, they look like this. The big joints, right? So, and I'm listening. And this chick walks up with some short shorts and a tank top, and I was like, and I'm sitting there watching, right? So I didn't speak to her that day. Coincident, that was like a Wednesday, and I remember all this sequence because that weekend I met her at a club, and that Saturday, I saw her on Wednesday. I met her Saturday, and that was 24 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So I give Cita X credit for that.
I mean, yeah. Like, how did that conversation go? I'd be like, "Hey, bro, thank you for being so terrible."
Nah, it wasn't.
But hey, bro, I just want to let you
kind of like that.
Cool person, but your voice annoys the hell out of me.
Well, you can't tell him that because you put him in a. You got to defend himself, and I didn't. I'm like, I don't want to smoke. We good. But I told him it was buying your album. I met my wife buying your album, and I just kind of left it at that. But my boy who was with me, Rashad, was laughing because he knew what happened, and so it was funny. He was like, "You're not gonna tell him you took the album back?" I was like, "Yo, chill out, man. Like, calm down, man. Like, I'm gonna respect the legends and the elders, give them their card, but." Yeah, I had to take it back. I couldn't do nothing with it. I couldn't tell you one song off that album. I couldn't tell you a lyric, a song. If I heard a piece of it, I wouldn't. I would just know that I don't want to hear it because it's him.
No, I feel you. That's how I am with the Yeezus album. People be like, "Oh my gosh, no, I don't. I don't know. I don't.
People who love it though. How'd you feel about Kendrick when you first heard him?
Feel about what?
Kendrick Lamar when you first heard him.
When I first heard Kendrick, it was, what app was that? Was it My Mixtapes? It was something like that. It was one of those old apps that they magically just erased.
That's what they do.
When I first heard of it, I was just like, "Who the hell is this?" I was like, "Where's it from?" Because I, in all honesty, I couldn't place his accent anywhere.
Right.
So I was just like, what? And then I found out he was from LA. I was like LA? Oh, we talking about like, I don't know.
He had to grow on me.
Right, because I was just like, what the? Because you know how old people be like, baby, come here, let me hear you say something.
Say something, yeah.
You need to take where you from, and I was like, but the more I listened to him, his lyricism was totally different around that time, totally different. Because we was still down here, repping. I mean, we always rep the South, but we was doing it hard, like.
Yes,
hard.
but the South was running the shit at that time.
Yeah, most definitely. So when we heard someone else, it was like, we got a newcomer in, like how.
When I heard Kendrick Lamar.
Huh?
So we were talking about those hip hop moments.
Yeah.
So do you remember the guy? He was a rapper. He was he wanted to use the Sonic the Hedgehog character, Charles Hamilton. Remember Charles Hamilton? Okay, Google Charles Hamilton. He used to wear pink polos. He's a very crafty rapper, right? I first got turned on I was a Charles Hamilton fan. And then I saw this Charles Hamilton, Kendrick Lamar freestyle at a club before Kendrick Lamar got on and killed Charles Hamilton. And then 2 years later, there was this big ass presentation where all these rappers came out. anointed Kendrick Lamar as the next guy to carry the torch for the West.
Now that I remember seeing that on like
On everything, yeah.
I was like, now how did
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
I said so they're not gonna I mean it's a couple
That's
people
exactly what
before
I said.
now. It's a couple people before him. So y'all just skipped
Crooked Eye. It was Crooked Eye. It was Glasses Malone. It was all these other LA Razzcast. It was all these other LA wordsmiths just getting.
I mean, they said.
So he skips right over the whole line. Like
I was like, that's a long line.
Corrupt. All of them. He jumped over all of them.
I was like,
all of them.
And I was like, how do they feel about this? Because I would be pissed. I'd be pissed. Like you have this.
Then you'd be pissed. You can't be pissed now.
No, you can't. Like, you got this young kid who hasn't even found his own sense of style yet.
Facts.
Let alone the hairstyle he want to do.
Facts.
And he has great lyricism, and he just said, whoop.
Yeah.
I'm like, was there a vote here? Is there like a LA delegation? I
treated him.
Like
Kendrick Lamar was Kobe Bryant.
He was.
No.
He was
LeBron.
I'm gonna say LeBron. Kobe in the sense of he was the later Kobe.
Well, the reason I said LeBron, remember LeBron came in the league and LeBron got anointed the king, right? The chosen one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember me and my buddy used to sit around like, man, this nigga ain't done nothing. He ain't done nothing yet. At least win something. Win Rookie of the Year. Boom, he wins Rookie of the Year. Take a team to the finals. And after that, he was off and running.
Yeah, that's because that was Ducks. He said,
you have to sit back and say, yeah, this cat can play. He's nice. He could play. We had to give it to him at one point. That's the same thing that happened with Kendrick. Even so, I shot 50 Cent before he signed to Dr. Dre. As a matter, I shot him after he got shot, and he was working with Sean Money XL, putting. He had already turned the mixtape game on its ear, right? And they were looking to see where they were going to sign him, and then he got shot, right? Remember that? He was How to Rob, and all these songs came out, and as far as hip hop was concerned, 50 Cent put the mixtape on the map. Like artists started doing mixtapes to promote themselves. He did that. We were going to get because I was working at BET at the time, so we was going to get them 50 Cent mixtapes. I think this was like 99.
No, I would say 50 back then. That was a whole. Whew.
He was a thing. He was a whole thing. He was a thing.
Yeah. So it was. I still have.
So I shot him. I have my 50 Cent album, How to Rob, with the profile of him on the dime when he was chubby 50 Cent, and a partner of mine.
That's classic.
So my partner, Marquand Smith, who right now is the executive producer for The King of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
Marquand hooked me up because he knew Sean Money XL, took me way out to Sean Money's house in Queens. We went down in the basement, and I interviewed 50 Cent when I got my first camera. Like one of the first people I ever shot on my Canon XL1 camera was 50 Cent. I was in the booth with him recording music that appeared on Get Rich or Die Trying. I was standing in the booth, no more than arm's length away from him. It was dark. It was super dark because it was shot in his basement.
Did you think in that moment he was going somewhere with his music at that point, or were you just like, oh?
I didn't think he was going to sell 10 million records.
Yeah, I think that's surprising.
I didn't think he was going to sell 10 million. Yeah, because he told me. He said, we were talking, and he said, man, I may say Death Row may be a good look for me. You know what I mean? So he talked about it. It's like I think he said Death Row, and then he said, I think in that time, Dre left and did Aftermath. Then Eminem blew, and then shortly thereafter, like within 6 months of that interview, and the club pops up, and it's just boom, he's out of there.
Yeah, like
Because
I would say he's up there with the rappers that had the quickest success.
everybody, yeah.
Everybody, I'm not gonna say everybody, but the most of the people counted him out. You know, because it was just like, okay, we got another New York rapper. He's okay.
Yeah.
He's from the streets. He just got shot, and we don't know what's gonna be the effect of this. Like, are they gonna come after us now, or do we want to be behind this project? And Dre, being from, you know, how he grew up and all that he had to go through with the whole Suge effect, that's literally still taking effect to this day.
Facts.
He was like, well, let me just take a chance. And he took a chance on 50. He took a chance on Eminem, and that shocked the world too, because it was like, it's another white boy other than the Beastie Boys.
Well, you know, it's really M pulled the trigger on 50.
Okay, yeah,
that was M's doing, but you're 100% right. 50 was not well liked because he was about it,
and it was like,
he was.
Like, I think
Anytime you got Murder Inc. going after you physically when you're unsigned, sending goons to the studio to jump on you when you're not even signed yet.
What?
That's what we knew he was gonna blow up.
Like,
Murder Inc. Remember, Murder Inc. was.
Yeah, they lived up to their name.
It was Ja Rule and them. They was huge. It was huge.
When 50 dissed everybody,
how to rob.
It was like, damn. Like, to this day, I haven't heard anybody that other than 50. Like, some people may be like, oh, well, they took shots. Everybody takes a poke. 50 took shots at everybody. I'm like, damn, what the fuck?
And everybody got really sensitive.
Jay-Z said, who the fuck is 50?
Everybody got, yeah, I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 cents? Right. But everybody got really sensitive, you know, because he said, you know, I rob pun without a gun, snatch your shit and run. Nigga weigh 400 pounds. How you gonna catch me, son? Everybody was like, no, he just pun. Because, you know, pun, you know.
Joey Crack was like.
Yeah, that's who you didn't want to smoke with, though.
That's when Fat Joe. See, everybody knows about Fat Joe. Don't nobody know about Joey Crack.
Nobody wants no problems with Fat Joe. None.
Joey Crack is so. I wouldn't even want no problems with Joey Crack. I can handle.
Nobody don't want no. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, the toughest talking dudes in the industry. He's back there, back their ass down. The toughest ones with the most money and all talks all this. They don't want no smoke with with Joe and the Terror Squad. That was a great name for them, the Terror Squad. Think about that, Terror Squad. And nobody tested it because they were like, I believe him.
Because that Joe had, and it's so crazy because a lot of the OGs people that are now OGs, they saw their future. Mm-hmm. When they lived in a society where it was short term.
Yep. I didn't see that with 50. I got to be honest. I didn't see that with 50. I just didn't see it. And I was short-sighted in that. But I would say over the years that I think I've been pretty accurate. Excuse me, I'm sorry. When I'm old, so it's kind of like nap time for me. You keep living, you'll understand.
I take my nap. I took my nap at 12 o'clock today.
Okay. So when I've been good at kind of seeing and hearing people and saying, oh yeah, he got something. He'll be here. You know what I mean? But I did not feel that way about 50 Cent. But I really respected his G-Unit move. I really respected Vitamin Water. I respected the way he transitioned himself from a real goon to a businessman in the industry, to the point where, you know, he floated just long enough to hit it again with power. You know what I mean? And now he's got power, Kanan and
Tommy's coming out.
Tommy's gonna have a series. This is incredible. I love it. For him.
And he did the best partnership with Vitamin Water.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
50
that, I
Cent was
still drink.
just.
I still drink to this day. I'd be like,
I had one last night, so
I'm
yes.
about to support 50.
No, but you gotta love it. You gotta really appreciate and celebrate when brothers are able to take themselves out of a particular, because he'd gotten shot, stabbed, all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
happened to him, to being where he is now. So it's like, you gotta take your hats off to that, even if you're not a fan of his music, because there's nothing that the only music that I like from 50 Cent is the openings for his shows. I don't like anything else he puts out.
I love
Oh, I love it.
like
The
with
BMF joint is dope. The Power joint I used to like.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, he's a success story, because he's, to me, um, as far as skilled rapper, I don't put him in that category.
For another person who just translated perfectly, even though he did have a lot of beef to start off with, I feel like if they stayed together, it would have been astronomical. Biggs, Dave, and Jay-Z.
Uh, I don't think. Sorry again. I don't think they really lost anything. I mean, I think the loser in this was probably Dame, because Jay-Z grew into his manhood and didn't need Dame to be out in front for him anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel
And I
like
think that,
I feel
because
like
what could they do?
I mean, well, they were
You,
already
you
on
remember you remember what broke them up, right? I heard motherfuckers saying they made Hove say, okay then, make another Hove.
Well, I mean, Dave Dash said the something different. Well, it was really, it was a lot of stuff with Dave Dash. Uh, but his business mindset is amazing because, I mean, without Dave, in my opinion, we wouldn't have Lee Daniels.
I agree.
And a lot of
I
people
agree.
don't know that. They're like, well, who is this bald headed man always confronting Lee Daniels? Shit,
I
if that was
I,
Lee
I agree.
Daniels, he owed him.
I If you owe him all that money, bro, why I gotta come and see you at a basketball game to get my bread? You blowing up. I'm seeing you on TV every day. I'm seeing your movies in syndication. Give me my bread.
And I'm
Like,
still
why I
helping
gotta
you
do
produce your movies.
why I gotta do this, right? But here, let me point some out to you. There was a band called Black Rock. You ever heard of it? BLAKROC.
Black Rock, Black Rock. I feel like I do.
BLAKROC. Are you in front of your computer?
Yeah.
Google it. And I want you to what's the name of the song? They only had like an EP, but I could tell you the song to play. And when you hear it, and when you hear the guy rapping on the record, I think this was the nail in the coffin. Did you find it?
Yeah, Black Keys.
Black Rock.
No, like it's Black Rock. And it says studio album by Black Keys.
Let me see. Hold
Oh,
on.
you talking about like Ain't Nothing Like You, Hoochie Coo, featuring Mos Def?
Black. I think the name of the song is "You Done Did It." Go back and listen to that record, right? And the guy rapping on that record, on those Black Rock records, sounds just like Jay-Z. Sounds. You hear it? You hear it? You hear it?
Yes. That's
I
scary.
heard motherfuckers saying they made Hove say, okay, so make another Hove. Black Rock. like that's the shit I love about hip hop. These stories that are real, like lines have real meaning to it. It's not just people saying things. And if we don't know that they have meaning, we'll take what's being said for granted, not realizing that there's a lot of times guys are chronicling history that, one day we'll be able to read about and hear about. You know what I mean? Like when I heard that, I was like, this can't be right. I've been Googling this other, I forget what the guy's name is, but I've been Googling trying to find if he put out anything else. But that joint right there was like, oh yeah, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I know Jay-Z was pissed about that. Like, you gonna go and try to get another dude who sound like me? He sound like him, same cadence, same.
Like this. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if no one knew, they would be like, oh, well, shit, it's an underground Jay-Z single.
Facts. Like when Puffy got Shine. Remember? Remember we thought Shine was, like Shine and then Gorilla Black. All these Biggie sound-alikes came out. People don't know about that one. Because Jay-Z's business acumen,
That just, oh, wow.
Eerie, right?
It's so crazy because they literally match up, and you just want to be like,
yes.
I got to see both y'all in the same room together now, or else.
Yeah, you can hear the difference, right? You can hear the difference.
But to a blind ear, they'll be like, no, I got to see both y'all in the same room together.
Jay-Z, there's another rapper called Your Old Droog. I don't know what that's about, that name. Why are Your Old Droog? Droog. And he's pretty popular. And he sounds like Nas. He sounds like Nas. So there are artists out here that, it's a lot of, and I think he may just now be trying to have his own sound, but when he first came out, I heard him on a couple of records and I thought it was Nas. Come to find out it's not. So, I mean, these are the things that I love about the culture, that I love about hip hop. That's why I love getting into hip hop debates and conversations about stuff and meeting my favorite artists and, getting to be a fly on the wall and participate in conversation with them. I enjoy that. But, still don't mean that Jadakiss would be a better freestyler than KRS in a battle. Nah, that ain't Jada. Jada's the better. Jada going through that Puff drill camp. That's what I did see, and I did tell my people. Oh, you listen to Your Old Drew?
Yeah, he does sound like him.
Sounds like Nas.
But he's international. Oh, but he's he's from the Ukraine. It's okay, and I would just say he's white. Just
yeah. I was waiting on you to stumble across that. And then there was who's the guy that sounded like Ghostface Killer?
How are these people?
Who's the guy? Hold on. Jay, who's the guy that sounded like Ghostface? Wake up. Action Bronson.
Oh yeah, he does.
He sounds like Ghostface.
He got like a whole cookie show and stuff, and he also raps.
Right.
Freestyles back then before he got City.
But it's hip hop, so that face on the sound that they love, and they're able to survive and have a career. Why you don't see no black guys coming out rapping like Eminem and having no career? So
wow.
Yeah.
And then you having to have, I think you had a hand in hip hop itself because you were able to see it firsthand from the north. Well, I say from the north, even though that's East Coast. I do know that.
Yeah, it's all the same. If you
because Houston, we call everything the north. So
yeah. Or everything is the East. Chicago, East Coast. Oh, he's from the East Coast. No, that's the Midwest. But I feel you. I think I played a real small part. I think I'm still trying to play my part because I still love it. But I also think that It's just so tough that they make hip hop so finite. You know what I mean? Like there's a period of relevance you have, and that's just not fair. You know, that if there's anything that I could leave with, I wish that we recognize the culture, right? And that, you know, we will always be a part of this culture, from style to fashion to language to all of that. We'll always be a part of it. I can't turn into an R&B dude. I can't do that. It won't happen for me. It just won't. I ride around my music loud and the windows down now, banging. It's what I do. That's my culture. That's how I grew up. That's what I do. So, I'm just glad. It's cool to be able to have conversations and we're not arguing about the littles or the guys who are doing what they're doing now, because I don't have any ammunition to argue with. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we had to talk about what these new guys was talking about, I'd be like, I appreciate them getting money and staying popular, but I don't really see that as the same genre of music. I think it deserves its own subculture, and I think that's where we've been cheated, right? I think the music industry has cheated us. I don't think J. Cole should be in the same category as XXX Tentacion. I don't think they did the same thing, or
even with Kodak.
Or Kodak or Yachty, they're not doing the same thing. No disrespect to them. You know, whatever that art form is, whatever that you could give it a subculture, right? You still, they shouldn't be judged together because one has a popular vote on the other. It's not fair to gauge what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's just guys who have a harder core sound, even, I hate the term mumble rap, but even mumble rap or whatever, all these different subcultures of hip hop should be categorized as such, because you got rock, you got soft rock, alternative rock, heavy metal, you know what I'm saying? Indie or whatever. They got all these different subcultures of rock music that we created, by the way. I think the same thing should happen to hip hop.
Everything.
Literally.
Like heavy metal, but
that too. Go back. Those guitar riffs and those, they have heavy metal guitarists that'll tell you that they stole riffs and progressions from funk musicians.
Oh, snap.
Oh, like, in there.
Yeah, like chord.
Took the riffs and the chords and the progressions. And they took that.
Like, the band Chord? Like the heavy metal band Chord?
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at
oh, damn.
Limp Bizkit. Remember, Limp Bizkit was just incredibly huge band. It was a rock band with hip hop in front of it, right? They could come back and do a tour and still sell out arenas all over the world. And Black Rock was the exact same format, and they couldn't get off the ground. Look, Jay-Z, they did this album. Jay-Z, and I think it's just they started doing a lot of these mashup albums where they take a classic hip hop album and mash it up with a classic rock album, and kind of start remixing them and put them out. Well, the rock artists benefited more than the hip hop artists did because it didn't open doors for more hip hop artists to be able to do that. But you started seeing all these little, if you go around, there's a little undercurrent of those bands, these rock bands still fronted by guys who are essentially wannabe MCs. They're still out here. It's just, it's just, that's how they do us. But we allow ourselves to be disposable. And if we don't hold on to the culture, hold on to, it should be as important for you to know who Rakim is and why Rakim is dope as it is for a white kid your age to know about, some of the early rock bands and their influences and the Rolling Stones and Van Halen and all these bands that are quadrillionaires. You know what I'm saying? Still doing $150,000 a night or $250 a night, and the rappers are doing 50 or less a night. We should know about that. Instead of saying, they old. So let me thank you for having me. Let me thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a part of it because
I love to run my mouth about hip hop. Love it.
oh, you already heard me. Me too. We can go all day with this. But
Already.
like that's why I love talking with people like you who are well versed within not just the culture itself, but music as a whole. Because people are like, don't get me wrong, I love my people, but then we
Yeah.
also forget about our Latin brothers and sisters. Like there are Afro Latinos that have had an Afro
Oh yeah.
who had a huge hand in creating all of this. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
like with Howlin' Wolf. People don't know about Howlin' Wolf. And now that I'm going back,
Who? I'm sorry, I lost you.
Howlin' Wolf, Smokestack Lightning.
Okay. No. There's another one too. Keep going though. Keep going.
So like people like him, or even Eddie James during the chess record,
Facts.
they were also very intricate in doing all this because Rolling Stone didn't have their sound until not Howlin' Wolf, but who was the other guy? Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters. That was a great hip hop album too, though.
He helped them.
Have you ever listened to that album? He did. Muddy Waters did.
And it was so crazy.
I'm talking about the Redman Muddy Waters album. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to that album.
I'm gonna go listen to it. I would definitely go listen to
that album.
And even with you being able, sitting right there front seat of BET, the source, and even recording some of the world's earliest rappers, like nobody, I didn't even know about you and Zero.
Yeah, I did Fabulous's first TV interview.
See, because by the time I heard Fabulous, he was still spelling out his name.
Spelling it wrong. Yeah.
And that
spelling it wrong.
And literally, I used to go to the store, but I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, he made the toilet thing." But I was like, "No." I was like, "No." I was like, "No." He said Loso. Loso. My mom was like, "Girl, don't tell nobody that." But and then my cousins, I always stayed up to date with my cousins because they listen to all of hip hop. Like back when TLC used to have those thick tapes.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they just
they had condoms pinned to their outfits
to promote safe sex. But if they were to do that, everybody like had their panties in a bunch. Like, oh, you wearing condoms outside? Like, like how else?
You gotta love it,
right?
Yeah, there's that. But we have to, now that hip hop's gone mainstream, I think it's just important that we still embrace the core of the culture and embrace the roots of what brought us here. And then if we embrace those roots, it puts us a little bit closer to being able to embrace the roots before that. You know what I mean? With jazz and blues and soul music and funk. And then before that with, folk music and just these classic, talented musicians. I just think that, when we start letting people break up the culture and tell us that parts of what we're doing are no longer relevant, you know what I mean? I think that's very detrimental to us as a whole, because really music is the great equalizer. It's the great communicator. It can tie generations together, and it allows us. I think the reason I'm able to communicate the way I can with my students is because I think that the part that I played in helping shape the culture, whatever it is, allows me to stay relevant. And my ear is still to the street. I still hear the language. I know what you're listening to. I know the music. I know the songs. I have my guilty pleasure records that I like. I really like Ray Shremmer. I love that group. I do. And they're little weirdos to me, but I like their music, right? And I don't tell people that often, but I do. Even if they're not putting stuff out, whenever the little Sway Lee dude or whatever puts out his new music, I'm gonna go check it out. Be like, okay, I see you, young fella. His time is coming. He's gonna blow at one point. They're gonna put him on that same level as they put the Kendricks and the J. Coles and those guys, Joyner Lucases and those guys. They're gonna put him there in a minute. But being able for us to have these conversations and speak on the culture, and so that if I talk to you, you can hear what I'm saying because I know how to communicate to you. And so you don't have to try as hard to communicate or to adjust how you would normally communicate for me, because I get it. You know what I mean? So I think that going forward, we're going to be a lot, our generations. And when you're me and the next you was sitting there talking to you about, what about back in the day? And they're going to start running off all these people. And you're going to sit there and reminisce and kind of laugh like, wow. But your history will allow you to say, well, hey, let me recant some of this other stuff that I know that you should know about. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that ties us as a community, as a culture, because we most definitely are. And I think that as soon as more people start seeing that, we'll start being a lot more mindful about how we handle one another, and respect the pioneers and the legends. You know what I mean? And give them the ability to go into their 60s and 70s and be able to live great lives because their music has touched so many people. I think that's what we, things like this help towards eventually getting us to that.
Man, like,
off my soapbox.
we can talk about this for like hours. I feel like we did talk
day.
about it for hours.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We hit an hour.
But I want to thank you so much for even giving me the opportunity to talk with you. And I just want to tell you thank you so much, because without you, we wouldn't know who these artists were in their real realm.
Well, I appreciate you. I applaud you. I silently cheerlead all you guys from the sideline, and y'all have no idea. And then if I hear you do something wrong, though, I'm gonna hit you up like, expect it, but know that it comes from a place of support. Know that it comes from a place of love for seeing TSU Tigers get out there and shine. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to see. I want to look up and be like, up TSU, up TSU. You know what I mean? And really, chase that goal. Don't get sidetracked. Chase it. Stay on track. You know what I'm saying? Stay on track. No matter what, it's gonna be hard. Stay on track.
Yes, sir. Trust me. It's nothing that I can't handle. Cause I always say, like I told Rich this. I said, I'm going to get everything I want, but I want to tell people I accept the smoke that comes with it.
Better, you're gonna have to, because it's coming. It's coming. Just, I would love to be sitting someplace and see you on some Oprah shit and be like, one time, OG Cliff Mac said, I remember he said, stay on track. No matter what happens, stay on track.
Oh, be on the lookout, because I'm trying to make this like an actual syndicated show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, Frank Mercado, the way he did it, he's a jerk. And I'll put that on record. He's a jerk. However, he was brilliant for that move. You could take your show and put it wherever you want. It's just like buying advertising time.
Yes, sir.
You just have to censor it, figure out what you can and can't have, but you can do it. It can be done. So.
Yes, sir. Well, I would stay talking to you. I would stay talking to you.
Already.
Real talk.
Already. I'm ready. I love it. I appreciate the interaction. I appreciate it. It keeps me on my toes. And when you hear somebody new that got something, send it to me. Send me a link. Don't send me, I don't want to hear whatever,
Oh,
but if you hear somebody who's special, send it to me.
Okay, so after we cut this interview, stay on, because I'm going to let you listen to somebody.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, everybody. That was OG Cliff McBean. That was the Talk With Me podcast. Thank you so much for talking with me. And y'all be on the lookout, okay? Check y'all next time. Peace.
Man, say, man, this is Loso with Houston Trend telling you to check out my homegirl, J. Renee, with the Talk With Me podcast. You never know who's going to be the next guest, unless it's you. And if you want it to be you, make sure you submit j.reneehtx@gmail.com. Send her your information, send her all your links to any of your music, your bio, your videos, all of that, man. We need all that. You know what I'm talking about? Make sure you get on the Talk With Me podcast with the homie J. Renee. Because with J. Renee, it always go down. You know what I'm talking about?